What if I told you there's a generation that spent their entire childhood with nobody watching them? And that's exactly what made them different. No phones, no tracking apps, no scheduled playdates, just one rule: be home before dark. And even that was negotiable. This wasn't bad parenting. This was the 1970s, and it created a type of person we might never see again. Let's talk about why. To understand 1970s kids, you need to understand who raised them. Their parents were born during the Great Depression or World War II. These were people who knew real hunger, real fear, real loss. They didn't talk about their feelings. They didn't complain. They just survived, and they passed that survival mindset down without even trying. So when you grew up in a 1970s household, you learned by watching. You saw your dad fix things instead of replacing them. You saw your mom make dinner out of almost nothing. You absorbed a simple message: life is hard, but you handle it. Nobody sat you down and explained resilience. You just breathed it in like air. Here's what childhood actually looked like back then. You woke up on Saturday morning. No plans, no supervision. You grabbed your bike and disappeared for hours. You explored the neighborhood. You built forts. You got into trouble. You figured your way out of it. Your parents had no idea where you were, and they weren't panicking. This did something powerful to a kid's brain. It taught them, I can handle myself. You learned to navigate the world without constant help. You made decisions. You took risks. You fell down and got back up without someone rushing in to save you. Today's kids are safer, but they're also tracked, monitored, and managed. They're learning a different lesson. Someone else is responsible for keeping me safe. The 1970s generation learned the opposite, and that shaped everything about how they think. Let's talk about something kids today never experience: pure boredom. In the 70s, you had long stretches of nothing to do. No screens, no games, no entertainment on demand. Just you sitting there staring at the wall. And you know what happened? Your brain got creative. You invented games. You daydreamed. You built entire imaginary worlds in your head. Boredom forced your mind to entertain itself. Now compare that to today. Kids have infinite content at their fingertips. The moment they're bored, they scroll. Their brains never have to reach inward because they're constantly being fed from the outside. The 1970s generation developed deep focus. They could read for hours, work on a project all day, stick with something hard until they figured it out. That ability to sit with discomfort and stay focused is becoming rare, and it changes everything about how you work, think, and live. Here's what makes this generation so unique. They remember both worlds. They grew up without technology, but they also adapted to it. They remember making plans without being able to text. They remember friendships that required real effort. They know what life feels like when it moves slower, but they also see what's been lost. They watch younger generations struggle with anxiety and burnout in ways that didn't exist before. They see how constant connection creates constant pressure. They understand that convenience came with a cost. They're not bitter about it. They just carry a memory that most people don't have anymore, that life can be quieter and still be full. So here's the real question. Which generation had it tougher? Honestly, they both did, just differently. The 1970s generation faced physical danger and a world that didn't talk about feelings or mental health. They had to be tough because there was no alternative. The post-2000s generation faces mental exhaustion, information overload, and pressure that never stops. They're growing up in a world that moves faster than the human brain was built for. Different struggles, different strengths. But here's the lesson from the 70s. You don't build strength by avoiding hard things. You build it by going through them. They weren't tougher because they were better people. They were tougher because their world demanded it. And maybe we don't need to go back to the 1970s, but we do need to remember that real confidence comes from real experience, even when it's uncomfortable. The people who grew up in the 70s carry something rare. They know what life looks like without constant noise, and they've proven you can survive change without losing yourself. In a world that's faster, louder, and more anxious than ever, maybe their story is exactly what we need to hear.